Hey guys, Bolt Shooter here, or Bolt Entertainment. I'm still getting used to this. Welcome to the quickest entertainment I can offer you. So, we're here for the Final Fantasy 3 fandom history. So, quickly, I'm going to say this now. Yes, I've officially moved my space. I can move around a little bit more. It's basically just been turned, because I had to get a few things different. Speaking of different, as of right now, I went and got my Huion Canvas 13. This thing is like 3 of my heads. I don't know if you can kind of see. It's like, well, actually, it's like 2 heads worth, but it's huge versus the other tablet, which was just hand, and the thing has the monitor to input it. But anyways, I have to get this done. I have to go get ready for work. I have to attempt to try to make Final Fantasy 4 fandom history written down so I can just get into that. So anyways, so first let's start with the teasers. I'm just going to do the story all in one. So the offline. So this shows that there is a 3. This tells us that there would be a Final Fantasy 3. It would just say offline, and then there's a 3 if you brightened up the image in the editing software. Next would be I'm Still Here, which would show the side face of a golden animatronic, which a lot of people were going to as the biggest animatronic at the time was Golden Freddy / Fredbear, because we just mentioned that in the last game that there was Fredbears. And then of course there was the sharp. It looked like sharp teeth at the time, so everyone thought it was a Golden Foxy. And then some people got it right and actually thought of Golden Bonnie. Since Bonnie has been a pretty big part, but / has been also sidelined a little bit too. What can we use is the third Easter egg. This is where it showed a box of toy parts from Final Fantasy 2 in a spotlight, but you can kind of see a little bit of outline of the new animatronic. And from what this was titled, everyone thought this was not just an animatronic that was just golden this, golden that, and golden this. Everyone thought they took the parts of the previous animatronics and made it one, and this is how everyone thought of the hybrid animatronic theory. He always does. This was just a text that was in purple, so a lot of people thought that purple guy was the one who took in, like, there was 2 theories. One, he's the one who built the hybrid suit and thought this was going to be a killer animatronic. Or 2, that he was the one possessing the animatronic, which they were correct about. Next was the map of Final Fantasy 3, which was cool because the map of Final Fantasy 3 is the icon of Sagat Cawthon, which is there is no pause button. It's just flipped upside down, and it also showed us, if you brightened up the image, the vent tracks. But at the time, a lot of people thought it was secret rooms and secret passages that would not be on the camera, which was not the case. Next was Guess Who, which showed us the burnt / phantom balloon boy and showed us a 10. People thought this would be 3 things, actually. People thought this was a countdown till the release of Final Fantasy 3. This was to the month that it would be released, so October. Or 3, that there would be 10 animatronics. Next would be It's All in Your Mind. This showed a burnt / phantom Foxy and Chica. And then we just jumped straight into the trailer because it's like Final Fantasy 1 came out not long after its images. Final Fantasy 2 was supposed to be planned for 2015. It came out months after Final Fantasy 1, giving it a 14 date. Then now we are here in I think it was early / mid 2015 is when this was released. But we got the trailer, which, going into the trailer, we had the hallway that showed a few drawings. The only thing we found as theorists was there was a Bonnie with some blackened eyes with a kid in front of him. Everyone thought this was a possible someone wearing a suit of Bonnie, and that this could have been Purple Guy in this suit bringing the kids into the back. And next would be a quick thing is Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was the official community's theorist part. Like, there was a community behind theorists, but there are not that many videos until now. This is when Dako Razbowski and 8-Bit Gaming started to do theories. Theory Thursdays, and this is when a lot of the theories came from. And they also interacted with the community to bring up more theories. When they were doing this section of it, they found the very last drawing you would find, which, if you looked in the game, would be a running Foxy. You can also find that in Security Breach, but basically it's a Foxy running, and because of it being the very last image, it would shade out and basically not be seen. They did an outline and thought it was a folded over dog animatronic, being an Easter egg to Sparky. Anyways, next we had, let's see here. We would have he will come back. We show in hallway with the flashing arcade machine. He always does. We see the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 animatronics with Bonnie's eye tracking something. And then we have a place for him, and then we see a golden Bonnie / the hybrid shaking violently on the floor. We see coming soon, and then we see a jump scare animation with a decayed office space. And then we got the title. So that's really it. There wasn't much else than the theory of Sparky the dog. We got to officially throw out that it was going to be Golden Freddy or Golden Foxy. And then we get into the phone calls. Like I always do, the gameplay really doesn't have anything to do with the story. It's mostly the Easter eggs and other cutscenes you get to see. But first, let's go with the phone calls. This is the only thing I had to look up. So, of course, to summarize, there was a summary of the game that said this was 30 years after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. So if Five Nights at Freddy's 1 took place in 1993, this would technically be in 2023. Hey, where's the Fazbear's Fright? I'm ready to go. Then let's see. So, welcome to night 1. We have the newspaper, which tells the location of Fazbear's Fright. It's a horror attraction, and it is based on how people in that area thought it is a mysterious / horrific story of the unsolved mysteries of Freddy Fazbear's. Anyways, going on to the phone call, we actually have a new character known as Phone Dude due to the community. Hey man, how's it going there? This is Freddy Fazbear. Let's see. He brings up the fact that you were there previously because he said thank you for coming for another night. That means you've worked with him before. You'll be a part of the attraction as a security guard to stop people from stealing and doing other appropriate content. New things that they were able to find were some drawings, a Foxy head, which they do say could be cosplay, and then we find through MatPat the fan. The most devious thing in the entire Five Nights at Freddy's series is the fan. If they can't find an animatronic, you'll be in a furry costume, like in Five Nights at Freddy's Killer Night. Also, they are following up on a lead by a building designer about an extra room on one of the pizzerias. He explains that the game features of the cams, the hallways, and the vents. He also brings up the maintenance panel and explains that there is a chance for a fire due to the old equipment, and that the ventilation is one of the most important things if you want to see crap. Alright, next would be Night 2, the introduction of the Phone Guy audio tapes. So sadly we're getting rid of Phone Dude. Aw, man. But this doesn't confirm to us that Phone Guy was the company's training guy or the how-to guy. You know, if you go into fast food, it normally has a quick. Actually, it's most companies that just have someone who has a representative that's like, hey, this is how you do this. This is this information. Phone Guy was that guy for them. He's also that. This also tells us through Phone Dude that they found him, the animatronic from the trailers and teasers. Then we go into the Phone Guy audio tapes, which the introduction is that he was mostly, he was actually most likely at the very first Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, which we believe is supposed to be the one that happened after Fredbear's, but the one that happened before Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So the one that the original 5 murders happened at is where he started his work from Fazbear's. So he's been a very loyal employee all the way until Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Which we believe is, it's like he worked from probably about 83 to 93, so about 10 years. That's a lot of years. Let's see. But he explains about specially designed suits that double as animatronic and performer suits. The hazards are injury and death. Animatronic mode will pick up noise and walk to the population. And to change it to suit mode, you would insert and turn the hand crank provided by the manufacturer. To compact and compress the spring locks, which would pull the animatronic parts away from where the performer is gonna place their bodies in. But here's the hazards of the suit. This is starting night 3. So night 3 we have the hazards of the suit, which is do not breathe, do not touch, do not nudge or press against spring locks. This will loosen them, impaling you with the animatronic parts. An emergency to get you out of the public eye. Go to a safe room, not digitally on a map for the animatronics or the security systems. Oh, and go die somewhere else in the public image. That's basically what night 3 is about. Then we have night 4, which is due to multiple spring lock failures in a sister location, most likely Fredbear's, thanks to Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Due to multiple spring lock failures, the suits are being retired. The spring locks suits will be looked at, but performers are to wear suits that were found on last minute. Which big theory is that the Help Wanted Spring Bonnie suit is what they were supposed to wear for when they had to retire the spring lock suits. Then we have night 5, which is safe room policy. It's used to store company property. So do not use the safe rooms unless it is to store company property or for spring lock emergencies, which, thanks to the previous phone call, you should not be wearing the said spring lock suits. So the only reason that you're supposed to be in there at this time is for storing company property, and it is not meant for a break room, and do not bring customers into the back room, which means if there's ever a mention or if there's ever a rule put up, it means someone has done this. So someone has brought a customer into the back. So this could be someone trying to show a kid in the back, someone trying to show off something, or this could possibly be Purple Guy bringing kids into the back and murdering them. Not to mention, this also is that it is noticeably moved that the Spring Bonnie suit has been moved. So this does mean that the original 5 deaths is happening currently due to Phone Guy's audio calls. So that means during these logs is that Purple Guy is active. He's using the Spring Bonnie suit, which you see as our main antagonist. and he's using it to take children, which are the customers that are getting warned not to bring them into the safe room, and he's using the safe room, which is off cameras and off a lot of things that they shouldn't be, and is hidden to customers, so they're not even knowing about it. So if someone went to go look for their kid, they wouldn't know where to look. So basically, this is the perfect area and the perfect setting for Purple Guy to take the spring Bonnie suit, act like a character, go get customers that are kids, and bring them and do what the 5 murders did, because they don't find the bodies from the first 5 kills. So he brought them in there. We do find out on night 6 that the safe room is being sealed and is told to be forgotten. So I figured for that is the reason that is happening is that due to the murders, they don't want that being a thing that happens. They don't want there to be any ability for murders to happen. So I can now go off of my own memory. So basically, we can just run through the gameplay. All it is really just, hey, use Balloon Boy's voice box to call Springtrap, which due to game files, people were able to figure out the name quickly. And also, I believe Scott put a post that had letters that were randomly capitalized throughout sentences, and it said, "My name is Springtrap," so that's the other reason we found out what it was during the teasers and trailer. But anyways, you just call him into a room. There's phantom animatronics of Freddy, Chica, Foxy, Balloon Boy, Mangle, and the puppets. And basically all they do is deactivate / grab your attention away from Springtrap and make your maintenance panel need to be rebooted. My hair is so all over the place right now, sorry. I'm barely awake. Let's see here, and that's really it for gameplay wise. But we go into the actual mini games. There's mini games in between every night, and it's basically you play as one of the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 characters, and basically the Shadow Freddy Easter egg from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is an actual thing in canon, and he's basically telling you to follow him into what is presumably the safe room, because the safe room is off the animatronics blueprint, and so every time one of the animatronics is trying to go in there, it's an error. So Freddy, error. Night 2, Bonnie, error. Night 3, Chica, error. Foxy, Night 4, error. And it's basically just Purple Guy possibly using the Spring Freddy suit, bringing the animatronics and dismantling them there. Which is weird because he should be using the Bonnie suit. So it's kind of weird. But we believe that it is supposedly it's a lot of things. It's like they believe it's supposed to be Shadow Freddy, which is a spirit of a previous employee. We believe that the Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie are the employees that died to the multiple spring locks at a sister location, that they both died, and that they inhabited the spirit form of these 2 spring lock suits, and that the Spring Freddy one is trying to tell the kids that, hey, your murderer's here, or this is the Spring Freddy suit, but with the coloration of purple to tell that Purple Guy's in there, and is leading them to the back rooms, and then just him coming out and disabling all 4 of them. And then on night 5, we see a spirit of a crying child go to the back room, is able to go in there, and all 5 spirits from the very first murder corner Purple Guy, scare him into the Spring Bonnie suit, which is due to the ceiling drizzling. Not to mention he laughs, which loosens the spring locks, and he dies. At least he followed company policy. In any ways, he basically bleeds to death, and due to whatever the stuff is at this time, he possesses the Spring Bonnie suit, and now 30 years later, or how long it's been since he died, he's in this horror attraction now. This also explains why there's all these different parts of the four main cast all over the place, because they were dismantled and not a full-on animatronic. And that's really it for the main gameplay. If you just played it normally, and you would get the bad ending, which was just all five of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and the presumably Golden Freddy in the background. By just seeing his outline, they're all still active, and their spirits are still active. But there's a good ending where basically, if you take the mini games through the nights and you go into the left hall towards you would find the secret corner, which would tell you what you're supposed to do for that night. Find it, do the mini game, secure a spirit, and then you'd get a good ending. The very first one would tell you double click BB, and then the other one would say, I think it was a code of the arcade machine. Actually, no, it says double click BB, which you would find a poster, I think on cam 7, and it would be where the puppet normally appears. You double click that, go in, basically you would have to glitch out of the top, drop down, find Shadow BBs, and then you would find, you would be able to jump in, and there's a multicolored balloon that would give you a pathing. It would give you a pathing into the next spirit. Night 2, you would have to do. The Night 2 minigame secret corner would show you buttons in which ones to press. A set of 4 buttons, and one of them is yellow. And that would basically go to an arcade game that would go you into Mangle's Quest. I think the very first one was BB's Air Adventure. The second one was Mangle's Quest. You're basically jumping around collecting Mangle parts, avoiding what we call the green man, the man with a green shirt and blue jeans. And you'd basically jump out of the top right, glitch out. Well, no, I think you had to walk back all the way to the bottom left or something like that. You glitch out of one of the corners and avoid the exit, and you would get greeted to the shadow puppet. You'd use the balloons from BB's Air Adventure and get a cake. And you would take that cake, go back to BB's Air Adventure that same night, and instead of falling all the way down, you would do a little bit of free falling and go onto a path of balloons and take you to a spirit. So that's spirit number 1. Night 3, your secret corner would tell you 4 shadow cupcakes. You would have to go find 4 shadow cupcakes around the thing. I think it's like Chica's party. I think it was, and you're just giving cupcakes to kids, and basically you would find a bottom left corner, and there's 2 things. There's one that makes you fall down, and there's one that makes you go to the left more. You would give a cake to a second spirit, or if you fell down, there would be shadow cupcakes to greet you. Night 4, you would be told to go do. Let's see. Night 4, you would be given a code, which if you input it, I don't know, if you reversed it and put it in a color code, it would tell you a shade of purple, which I believe is the same purple that Purple Guy was used. And basically you would just dial it into like these, like a phone. It would be on this patch of 9 tiles. I think a little bit of it's behind the box, but you would put the code into that, and it would put you on stage 01, which is the very first stage, which means this is Fredbear's, Spring Freddy, Spring Bonnie. You would jump out the left, and you would explore several different of the same stage, but one of them did have a missing kid, which means Purple Guy was active during the very first during Fredbear's. We would go into the very, very top and be introduction to the fourth child. So we've BB, Chica. Oh no, third child, the third spirit. Then the fifth night, you would have to find Shadow Bonnie, which is a Shadow Bonnie figure on your desk. Click that, you would get in. You would be able to teleport through all the rooms and glitch through, I believe, BB's Air Adventure, and you're able to come out to the bottom, glitch out until you can get to the fourth spirit. And then in the same night, you have to go to the puppet poster that's in, I think, Cam 2 or 3, which is where Mangle takes place, I believe. No, it's the one below that one. And it would have a poster of a drawing of the puppet. You double click that, you would get the Happiest Day minigame, which shows you a bunch of kids with what we know now as the mediocre melody mask. And we would see all 4 children with the Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy mask. And we also see the Golden Freddy mask on the last child. And we have the puppet mask on the child we control. We give a cake to the Golden Freddy one, and this drops all the masks, which means it releases the souls. Once you finish night 5, you would be given the good ending, which technically means all the souls are given. It is believed that both of these are canon. At this point, it's like past night, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, they're still active, but through when the Golden Freddy spirit / the puppet spirit finally moves on, everyone else has moved on. So eventually there will be a release of the souls. Now the last thing, so that's just the mini games. Next would be Easter eggs / hoaxes. There wasn't that many in this one. There wasn't that many well-known ones anyways. For hoaxes real quick, people were wondering why there wasn't a Shadow Bonnie, a Phantom Bonnie, because Scott did mention that I already have a Bonnie. Why would I need another one? So a lot of people would post it in their own Bonnie, which was, I believe, mostly the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Bonnie that a lot of people found. But people preferred the withered Bonnie model with the spring a Phantom. But anyways, next would be the fact that someone who made, I believe he was the creator of most of the well-known ones. I believe he created the Purple Freddy. He created this one, and then in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, he created a few others that I'll mention when I get to that. So tomorrow you'll figure out those hoaxes. But he created the Chrome Freddy Easter egg, which is, I believe, supposed to basically be a satanic ritual or something. You do a lot of things, and you would get a Chrome Freddy jump scare. But then we have the Easter eggs. There are a few of them. Like in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there's that paper plate boy popped in your room. Paper plate Freddy and Bonnie would spawn in your room. There's a chance for there to be a cupcake spawning in. There's a chance there's a toy Bonnie poster in the same room that you would find the Happiest Day minigame. That can change to Mr. Cupcake or the Golden Cupcake. I believe there's also several posters throughout the entire cam system that can be turned from the Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica to Springtrap. There's also a quick Phantom Golden Freddy Easter egg, or people call it Purple Freddy. To the far left, there was him slumping in the very corner. It's very hard to see. Let's see here. That's really it for Easter eggs. The very end of all of it was when we finally got out of the Five Nights at Freddy's era. We were given a hat on the ground, in a spotlight, basically saying that the Fall of Freddy is done, and that is it. We also get the after beating Nightmare mode, we learn that Freddy Fazbear's Fright has burned, most likely due to either the security guard burning it down, or there was a faulty wiring and it got burnt down anyways. So a new local attraction based on the ancient pizzeria chain burned down overnight. Authorities have not ruled out foul play, but at the moment it seems that it's been caused by faulty wiring. Very little has been found at the scene. The few items that were salvaged will be sold at a public auction. And we see one of the bobbleheads of Freddy that we see on our desk sold off. If you brighten this image, you do get to see Springtrap in the background laying down, which means he lived. We do get a few fun facts from Scott. In the blurred text, we find out that the original 4 of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was a placeholder, but then he'd grown fond of those names and moved on. Looking back, a lot of the old games, he always had a broken down animatronic. This happened all the way in even Distant Hope. He doesn't know why, but Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is basically him realizing that he had a broken down animatronic. Because, Golden Freddy in the Five Nights at Freddy's 1, he had all the Wizards. In Five Nights at Freddy's 2, now he has Springtrap in 3. Let's see. So he mentions that he started a crowdfunding for the campaign for Five Nights at Freddy's 1. We kind of know the story on that. In the very first game, Freddy wasn't meant to move around the pizzeria. He was meant to get you in the darkness when you ran out of power. He mentions his nightmares about Bonnie. And then, he explains that he was on a trip and he was designing Foxy, and during the trip there was a lot of jitters, so that's why Foxy looks torn. Let's see. During the visitation, he got to show his kids the Foxy jump scare. But anyways, next would have to be the storyline so far. So the fandom is really up in the air about having a lot of thoughts at this point, because this was meant to be the very final game. It's a trilogy. It's a good number to end on. So Five Nights at Freddy's 1 would have been the end if it didn't blow up. This was a game that if it didn't go any further, Scott would be done with games, period. But he also he knew the success, so he was either going to do another game or continue it, it's because he was okay with what was given, but he had other things he could go on, so he'd either go to a different game or continue the series. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, he wasn't going to end there. You have to push forward. He gave a good background story. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was supposed to be, hey, the spirits have been appeased. This is what happened to the killer. All said and done. So basically, the story we had by the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 3 that was supposed to be our ending point was in 1973, Fredbear's opened. Or at least Freddy Fazbear's opened. Before that was Fredbear's. Before Freddy opened, Fredbear's happened. And that's where we see Stage 01. We learn that Spring Freddy and Spring Bonnie were made at this location. And we do learn that Purple Guy, through Stage 01, he was taking kids at that point. Because we got to see one of the kids being taken. So we see that Fredbear era, but we learn quickly that Fredbear's buys out Fredbear's Diner, and we go into Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Fazbear's Entertainment buys out Fredbear's, And I believe Fredbear's at this point would be the sister location. So Spring Bonnie and Spring Freddy would be the sister location animatronics where we would have our main four. But what's weird is it sounds also like through the Finest Freddy's 3 phone calls that there was a Spring Bonnie and Spring Freddy there on top of those four that we had. And basically, through the spring lock failures that possibly killed Phantom Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie, that they had to retire to the spring lock animatronics, and this is why we no longer had them. They got locked into the safe rooms. Purple guy comes in, uses it, takes kids into the back, kills them. That's why the 5 deaths happen. And this is why safe rooms were locked down. And this also explains what happened to the 5 kids. So basically, Fredbear started it all. This is where Purple Guy started wandering around. And then we go on to them getting bought out. Then we have the 5 deaths, the 5 kids incident. This also would explain a little bit of the timeline. But the only bad thing is we never figure out where the puppet was input in. I believe it's got to be some point before the 5 kids. Because we believe that the 5 kids incident is why that first location gets shut down. Because it sounds like through the articles and all that they tried to continue after the 5 deaths, but due to the bad articles and all that, there was no money getting made. So they had to shut down the very first location. So then we go on to Finest Freddy's 2. It's only been a week or two that's even in the timeline. This just sets up 1987. We have Jeremy. He's basically hearing. So it sounds like Purple Guy was one of the first few people as a security guard in the first week. He becomes day shift in the second week, and he starts killing another 5 kids throughout this second week, and we hear through the phone calls of him taking that golden suit in the back. And I believe this will also explain why that gets shut down. We're going to move on to something else. But the thing is, the toy animatronics have to be retired so Finest Freddy's 1 can happen. So to explain the Bite of 87, they have what's most likely Mangle or Toy Chica takes a bite out of Jeremy's skull because they're aggressive towards adults and an employee. So since he has to stay close to the animatronics, keep them safe away from the kids, he's the closest one to getting bit. It could possibly be one of the guests, but Jeremy sounds like the most probable. So we have a story of what happened with Fredbear's. It's just a location that started everything. It went and started a sister location, which started the other main 4. Due to the spring lock suits in the safe room, it gave Purple Guy the greatest opportunity to kill the 5 kids. But before that, we see that he took an opportunity and killed off a kid on the outside, which made the puppet possessed. And with the puppet being around and possessed, that he takes the 5 deaths and puts them into the animatronics and Spring Freddy. Due to bad looking, they have to shut down the location due to no money, turning into Final Freddy's 2. Purple Guy comes in as a security guard for week 1, becomes daytime, slowly kills off the other 5 kids. Jeremy becomes the new Bite of 87. So between the second line of 5 kids in the Bite, this has to shut down and scrap the toy animatronics. After a few years, they take up on a smaller budget and bring back the withered animatronics, rebuilt them, which means that they probably found the 5 kids' bodies but tossed them to avoid having worse articles. But they basically rebuild them in 1993, we have Five Nights at Freddy's 1, which we take up on Mike. And basically, we just see them possessed. And in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, the in-between night mini-games, we learn of the fact that sometime after Five Nights at Freddy's 1, Purple Guy comes back. Either him or Shadow Freddy lures them back to the safe room to air them out, get them dismantled, and all 5 spirits come back for revenge against Purple Guy. Corner him, put him into... He cowers into the Spring Bonnie suit, but due to moisture in him breathing on the spring locks, they loosen and kill him. 30 so years later, this new company wants to make a horror attraction based on these stories, and finds Spring Bonnie and makes a new location on it. And really, this basically ties everything up. There should be no more story. Five Nights at Freddy's 1's the entire story we learned of the 5 kids, the killer, and we find out about the 8-bite of 87 and who Phone Guy was. We figure all 4 of those questions out of these top 3. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, it's basically explaining the previous locations, but leaves the question of what is Fredbear's, and it solves the story of 87. It also kind of gives you an idea that you should be solving the 5 kids' murder with the mini games, and that the Purple Guy is still around and doing more murders, which means the original 5 didn't stop him, didn't get him arrested or accused of anything. He comes back and does it again. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is basically, fast forward, this is how the entertainment business of Fazbear's ended up because of these bad incidents, and losing all these employees and all these kids dying around it. It has to be left to rot. We find out the original animatronics, and how they were going to go. How it basically, we learn of the entertainment's timeline. We also learn what the spring locks are. How the mascot costume that was set in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 that was able to used to kill the 5 kids. This is basically explaining who was used, how could they be used instead of some animatronic or just some crappy suit. It also throws in that you could technically say that Purple Guy used one of the suits that they had to wear when the spring suits were retired. What he could have used, but what it says, but it really sounds like he used Spring Bonnie because it was moved in the calls. So basically, every question at this point has been answered. We know a good timeline of where things were done. We just don't know what dates, which is not really important, because we can technically, due to the very first game, we can say 1973 is the earliest point. And the end point of this timeline is 2023. But of course, due to the end of this game, it does kind of refer to that there's still things of Fazbear's left, on top of the fact that Springtrap is still alive. So there's a possible 4th game and there's possible more timeline. But it's kind of like, at this point, you could say Purple Guy lives forever and always comes back and kills more people and possibly more kids. And that'd be the end of the story, is that you can't stop evil. Evil is such a destructive force. But that could be it. It's just these trilogy. But anyways, the hat. The teaser with the hat. We at first seen it just normal. Then it gets updated. And through, I believe, Photoshop and all that, people found a 4 in the light. They could find a light being a little funky. And then eventually it does get taken away. Like, the hat is no longer in the spotlight. Which means someone has taken that hat. Which, due to the 4 and the hat being taken up, leads us into Five Nights at Freddy's 4. which we will get into tomorrow. So I will see you guys then. I'm not going as fast as I thought, but I kind of know these games in and out. But anyways, I try to make it shorter. I'll have my chapters. But anyways, I gotta go get ready for work. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.